Hello everyone, welcome back. In this session today we are going to see how we can handle the select tag or the drop down values, or how we can automate the drop down options using webdriverIO. So in our previous session we have seen how to handle the text box, checkboxes and radio buttons, and we will be going a step ahead and try to see what are the different actions we can perform into a select or a combo box, or we can say is a drop down, and also what are the different verifications that we can do. Okay, so let's get started. Now to understand the drop down, the first thing that we need to do is what is a drop down. So this drop down is having multiple options where the user can choose any one of these options, right? It's basically like your radio buttons only. But let's see how it renders into your HTML DOM. Okay, so if you see that almost all kinds of drop downs will be treated as a select tag actually into your HTML, and then the regular like the identifiers will be available, like in this case it is the name. After that there will be number of items or number of options. You can see there are 4 options here, and that is how here 4 different option tags it is visible for you or it is rendered into the HTML DOM, and each option will have a value attribute, and also there will be a text allocated to this particular tag. This text is nothing but, if you see these options, this visible text, whatever you see, those are nothing but your attached text here, which we can access it by using the get text. We have already discussed on this. Fine, so that is about the HTML rendering. Now what we can do, one is that we can select any one of these options. Let's say I'm selecting as female. Now I need to verify if once the female option is selected, is it really working fine or not? How do I verify? I will have an expected result or an expected string, and now I need to fetch it from the browser application and then compare it. Okay. Or else let's say that there could be one option where I want to fetch all of these options and try to do a count verification. Let's say that there is a country drop down. Now there might be hundreds of items will be there. You can't really manually count them one by one, right? So what you can do, you can grab all the elements or all the options, or we can say is items as well. So you can grab all of those options and you can just use the length property into the webdriverIO to count that. So all of these verifications and actions we will be now try to automate by using webdriverIO. Okay, so let's get started. So for this I will be creating a new file or a new spec file, I would say, and let's rename this to select, or let's say that drop down. Okay, drop down items. Fine. Okay, fine. It is the same URL only, but let me first try to identify this select tag, right? So what I'm going to do here, so I will say let, okay, select equal to await, and here if you see this is nothing but a select with sgender, right? So here I will say select, and then I will say the name equal to sgender. Okay, so this is the one, and this one let's remove it. Now select tag is already allocated to a select variable. The next one is that, as I told, I need to grab all the items present inside that particular select tag. So you can see these are all simple option tags, right? So what I can do, I can use this element dot, and I will say, see, in this case I'm going to use $, because I need to get multiple elements. And now what is that multiple element? Having a tag as option. So inside my select there is only one kind of tags are there, so I'm just directly keeping it as options tag, and now I will be keeping it into a options variable so that later I can play with this one, and always keep it as synchronous by making await here. Fine. So what I'm going to do, the first thing, as I told, we need to assert that. So assert what? Assert options dot length. So as I told, length is a property. So options dot length to be, and you can say that 4 because there are 4 different items that we are going to see, and also you can print it if you want that one. Okay, so you can just make it as console.log, and inside this you can say that items count, and here you will say await options dot length. Okay, you can do like this. Fine. Okay, fine then. So my first verification is done. Now the second thing is that how do I select one of these options? So you can see there are a couple of options. We can do even manual also. Let's say that somebody will tell you, hey, select the first option from this particular drop down. So what you will do, you will just select this one, which is my 0th index. So it means that I can even use the index one. And for this, the webdriverIO gives you an option here where you can use the select variable or the tag which we have already identified, and you can say select, and you see that there are 3 different ways that the webdriverIO is suggesting you. One is the first one, select by attribute. The second one is select by index. The third one is select by visible text. So it means that now if I want to go by select by index, then I can just perform that. Let's say that I want to select the first option. So 1 means it is the second option from the list because the index starts from 0. So I will do some browser.pause so that you can see the actions performed there. And now the second one, let's say that I will say select by and visible text. Now if you see that, what is visible text? Visible text is nothing but the text attached to this one. Let's say that I want to select the first option or the default option back. So I will select this one. So first it will select the female option, or that was male. Okay, that is a male. And after that it will select the first option. Select the first option. Now the third way is to select by attribute. So this is bit important to understand. So if you see inside this, it accepts 2 different parameters. One is the attribute in the sense, what are the attributes for an HTML tag? So the value is an attribute, name is an attribute, for is an attribute. So these are nothing but the attributes. For some elements there could be multiple attributes as well. Like for an instance, you see here for this select there is a tools and there is a multiple attribute as well. So like these attributes are there, so you need to provide the attribute and the value. So here the attribute, let's say that I want to select this third option. Okay, I mean the last option, let's say. Okay, in this case what will happen? The attribute is value. So I'm going to say that value, and always keep it in string. Okay, now value. What is the value of this value attribute? That is nothing but NA. So you need to select like this. So that is the way you need to select it. Fine. Now, so the third thing is that how do we really verify whether that particular option is selected or not? Okay, so in that case what we need to do, so there is no in-house or a default option that the webdriverIO is providing. Okay, but before to that, let me first run this one up to this point and let's see if it is really executing or not. So for this I will be doing a rename here, copy and then paste it into this so that my test case will be running here. So I'm changing this one and I will say npm run wdio. So this will run the stuff which we have written here. Okay, it seems like there is some issue. Or you know what? Select should be an input tag. Select should be a tag actually. I have kept it as a hash sign, so that is why it wasn't working. Let's rerun it again. and you can see that it executed, all the options got selected, and you should be seeing the item count as 4 as well. See, there is a thing actually. So when you are executing, you might be getting lot of different what you call outputs here, and this you can even control that. So if you see into this wdio, you see that there is a log level. By default it would be like info. So you will see lot of even the default, even for get this length, then like if you do select by index, get value, get attribute, for all of this statement the webdriverIO generates the what you call the logs actually here. So normally I didn't want that one because my default logs, the console logs, are getting hidden, or it's sometimes finding difficult to find those logs actually. So I have made it as to capture the error logs only. In this sense, when see these errors are these log labels are basically from left to right in order. So when you say trace here, all these kind of levels will be printing. When you say info, it captures the info, one, error, and silent. Everything will be captured into your console. But when I'm saying error, it just captures if any issues are coming. Like for an instance, see on the first run, I got some error, right? See, that is how it is capturing. Only errors only it will give you. The other things you really don't want to do that, because anyway you are sitting in front of your machine to what you call to look into the debug stuff actually. But when you really push your stuff into the Git or any centralized repository to run it into a nightly build or CI/CD pipeline, you can even keep it as an error, but you can note down into a different error logging, probably into a file or into a HTML or something. But always it's a good practice to reduce the logs as much as possible so that it can improvise the test execution time. Okay, fine then. So far so good. We have executed all these things, but I said that we need to even find out a way to get the selected option from the drop down, right? See, now we are selecting it and we are looking in front of our machine, so we know it. But in real time, you won't be sitting in front of your machine when you are running it, right? So you need to verify automatically. That is what the automation is there, right? So validation of the different functionalities. So it means that you are selecting the select option. Now verify whether the select option is selected or not. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. So as I told, there is no default option that is available from webdriverIO as I searched. So we have to write our own logic. It's very simple logic. Let me explain that. So whenever you are selecting any option into that drop down, there will be a isSelected method in wdio which tells you whether it is true or false. Let me show you that method actually. So if you just directly search webdriverIO isSelected, then you should see that in the documentation. You can see it. This is actually not element of type checkbox radio, even it is applicable for your drop downs as well, or even option tag. You can see that. So what it does, it's a simple concept. You have to identify that element which you have selected. Just call the isSelected, and you can see here the element dot isSelected. It returns true if it is selected. It returns false if it is not yet selected. So in this case, what is that element which we are seeing in there? So these are the individual elements. Okay, let's say that I'm selecting the first option, means I want to verify this particular identify this particular element and say that is selected. Let me show you that. Let's say that for this index 1, here I'm expecting that the is selected should be true. Which one? The male option. Can I directly identify this one? Yes, let's again go back to the selector Sahav. Okay, so here if you go for, so like let's say that I will try to identify this one, and here I will say value equal to, I will say male. Okay, so I'm selecting like this. Now in this case, what I'm going to do, this option, so I will say await here, or maybe expect statement only, expect await, and I will say this one, but this should stay inside a $sign. Okay, so this is my here I can do this one. Okay, this should be double quotes or single quote, anything is fine. And here one square bracket, sorry, not here, here. Okay, so this is my element actually that I am expecting to be selected. So I will say is selected. You can see that is selected here. Now this to be true actually here. So to be, and I will say true, like that I can do that. Okay, so the same thing you can even identify for this select tag. Simple as that. So you just select this one, and this is for individuals, right? And here let's see what is the value for this. So this is select actually, here you can see. So I'm just, instead of male, I'm doing select. Now this expect statements also should be working fine, or it should run successfully. That is where you will identify that all of your these selections become true. Now this is only one liner code, and if you see this, everywhere I'm kind of changing this particular selector, right? Which is not a good practice actually. But in this case you can make it as variable as well. In this sense, a variable in this sense, if you remember in our POM stuff, I have already mentioned that inside this you can even give the indexes. Let me show you that. Yeah, if you see that, you can even put some kind of variables. I don't know where in all places I have did that, but yeah, you can just use those even those variables inside your locators. Actually you can do that. Okay, I think here I've done, yeah, you see here inside your identifier we are keeping the variable. So the same thing, you can keep the variable and keep assigning the value that you are expecting. That is one of the best way doing that. Okay, but there is another option. I will show you that here real quick. So I'll write a new method actually here. That would be good, because I don't want to put stuff here, because this will even helpful when we will be designing the framework also. So let's see how we can create a class actually. Either you can put it into a separate file or even inside this also. So I am doing export. So I will say export, and I will keep some class. Let's say that I am keeping this class as select. Some name I am giving here. Okay, select util or select anything, you can do that. Now async, and I will say get selected option. Okay, I'm keeping like this. So get selected option. Now inside this I'm going to put some so here what I'm accepting, that I want to accept the options, all the options that are present from the select tag. Okay, now here what I'm going to do, I'll put one variable here. So selected text equal to, I'll show you why am I doing that. And inside this I will be writing a for loop actually here. Now see, normally we are using the filters, right? If you see into the multiple elements here, if you see that we were using a filter concept like await options dot filter element, and inside this I can put it, if el dot is selected is true, then return that element. Like that I can do, or else what, so in that way what is happening, I could not able to return anything from the filter because of the asynchronous in nature. I could not able to return anything in the filter. So better option, I will be using the pure for loop only there. Let me show you that how this works. So let option of the collection, that is nothing but the options which I am accepting in this method, right? So inside this I will be writing a if condition. This is very simple concept. So I will say option. Now see, what is this option? This option is nothing but the individual options, right? From these options is what? If you see here, this is the collection of all options, right? So from there I'm getting the individual option, and now here I'm saying that is selected. You can see that I can get it. So from there I will get only one option to be selected, right? Which will return me as a true. So let's get inside that, and then I'm saying that selected text. Now selected text is which one? This one, which I have created a empty string equal to, I will say await option dot get text. So I'm getting the text that is attached to that particular option. As simple as that. Now as soon as I got it, I need to break because I want to get out of that loop. Because see, normally if there are, let's say, hundreds of elements are there, in that the 15th element is selected. Now after 15th, I don't want to continue this loop, right? Because there will be only one option selected. After that, it is waste of time to keep comparing that. That's why I want to get out of this loop. And then I want to return this selected text, which I have just created it. So selected text. Simple, this one only. So this method will always return me the selected options text actually there. So here I need to do a little bit of change. So in this expect statement, right, which I was doing, you are free to do this one, but now I can do in an easy way actually. So I will say expect what? So I will say new select. New select is what actually? The class that I have created dot get selected option of options which I have created in this actually here. This one I'm passing inside this particular get selected option, and because this is a method, I have to create an object of this particular class and access it. Pure oops concept actually here. Dot to be what? To be any kind of string, right? What am I expecting here? This is male, right? So the text should be male. As simple as that. This has to be capital M. Okay, or maybe I think there is an option to equal actually. Here you can see to equal. What is the problem here? Let's see that. String is not assignable. Okay, let's keep it as an await. Okay, so like this you can do. So I'm keeping these two options here. You can use the this particular our own option to get the particular text actually. So see, this returns a string actually. Keep it in mind because you cannot compare it with anything else. This returns a string, and this string is nothing but the visible text, not the value also. But yes, you can even return the value also. As simple as that. Option dot get value. Let's say that you want to create another method actually inside this, a utility method. You will say that get selected value. Let's say that. Simple concept. Here instead of this, you write get value. Simple. So depending on what you are really expecting, that one you can get it from here. Okay, so like that you can use it. Now let's run this and try to see that whether it is working fine or not. Okay, see, even you can use the same for loop to print all of these options, like how like you have these options already, right? So you play with this options collection by printing all the options, or you can compare it something. So all kind of different things you can do it. Now let's run this and see whether it works fine or not. So let's run. And it just executed all these things. And you can see that all the expect statements worked fine actually. There is no problem. Because if this expect statements would have been an issue, then your test case will be failing there. So because it is passing, I considered that all the expect statements executed nicely. So these are different options you can use, or different features or actions you can perform in a drop down, and you can deal with it. So whether it is a dynamic web dynamic drop down, or it is a static drop down, doesn't matter. Your job is to select something by using any of these three different ways that we have understood. And also you can use this particular loop to get whatever the text or value that got selected currently into that select. Okay, see, I'll tell you one special case actually. So think about, this is a very static one. There are certain text drop downs which would be like having a huge list actually. Sometimes if you want to grab that by using this particular option, right? Oops, sorry. if you go for this particular line of code, it normally captures everything. When you say option, how many items are there, it will capture to your options variable. Okay, sometimes what happens, I have observed couple of applications. At this moment I don't have that, but if you find where what happens, it only displays the options that is visible on this particular drop down. See, every drop down has a particular height, either it should display from here to here or here, so that will be decided by the developer. Now when you have hundreds of elements are there, sometimes what happens, which is visible into this drop down viewport, right? When you say option in your code, you will only see that 7 or 10 items only. When you scroll, that time you will see the new sets of options from there. Now in that case, what will happen, you are expecting 100 of items, but when you really expect that to 100, it might not come, because your option dot length might return only 10 only. In that case, what you need to do, you need to first grab all the elements. How do you grab? There are a lot of different questions. Even when I have done my Selenium courses also into this YouTube channel, there were things that how do we scroll till the end of that particular drop down and grab all the options. So theoretically, I'm kind of suggesting here, try to do it if you find any kind of application. If not, just post that particular link. I'll try to put that in here. So the first thing is that, see, you can see this is one best example here. Think about, this is a drop down expansion. At this moment you just see 5 items, but when you scroll you see the other items. So your job is to first, with the default scroll, you grab the option, okay, await $$ option, you grab this list, keep it into this variable, let's say that. Now you will have another collection variable, which will be, you can just say that let total option, let's say that you will be doing like this. Now in this case, what you are going to do, this options, whatever array you are getting, you append to this total options for the first time. Now you loop again, okay, till when you loop it, that is a question, right? So what happens when you grab the first set of values, right, you always grab the last string. Okay, in this case the last string is not applicable. Okay, you keep it into a string. Okay, so you will need to have 3 different variables. Okay, one is the current set which you are grabbing, the total where you will be keep on appending to here. There will be another one, let, you will say that last text, let's say that, and this would be always a string, it's not a collection. Now you might be asking that what exactly this last text does. So this will hold the last text of the current set of options you have grabbed it. So what you need to do here, you will be doing like this, while last text, this last text, okay, equal to, okay, so till that time actually, so last text equal to, you will say that options, okay, dot get last text. Understood that? Now till this particular is not true actually, here you will be keep on grabbing these things actually. You will be doing this one, okay, in the sense you will capture the options, okay, capture the options. Now assign that option or append that option to this particular total options. So here I shouldn't be writing let, and here also like this. Now this one always you will be keeping it here actually. Now you understood the concept. See, when your last text, last means the last sets, the last value which you captured equal to current set's last text, it means that you are end of the screen. See, because there is no more scrolling. Like for this for this particular drop down, let's say that the last text is Cypress, right? So I will be assigning here Cypress. Now what you will be doing, you will be scrolling. Okay, in this case, what is the last text? Coded UI. In this sense, your last text is your Cypress equal to your coded UI. Okay, it is the same. It wasn't same for the first scroll, so you will be continuing. Now in your second scroll, what was your last text? That is actually coded UI. Now you are trying to scroll, there is nothing, So your capturing is still getting as coded UI only. So coded UI equal to coded UI, which is false your while loop, you are coming out of that loop. So that is how you will be keeping that particular, you will be keep capturing the total options. If you're still confused, then let me know so that we can find it out some more like that, what do you call, a kind of demo drop down, and we can see that. But yes, by talking all these things, don't get confused. If your if your application is very straightforward, it captures all the options irrespective of you are scrolling or not, then you should be good. You don't need to worry about this actually. But in case if your application loads the new items as and when you are scrolling and you want to go till the end of the scroll, you can use this concept what I just spoke about that. Okay, fine. So I think that's pretty much it about the your drop down. If you have any questions, please post it into the comment or chat with me. So stay tuned and do subscribe to this YouTube channel. We will be seeing some more interesting topics. Thank you for watching.